Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, today I have something quite nice to show you. Bismillah. So I've started to put together everything that we have studied thus far into some form of notes. And inshallah, I will develop this into a book, a self-contained book to study and learn the Arabic language. For now, let's take this as an opportunity to recap everything that we have learned thus far. Bismillah. So I will not explain everything again. For that, I highly recommend you to watch the videos I've made thus far, which I've put under a playlist, I think called Learning Arabic Through the Quran. Watch those videos and it will cover all of this stuff. First and foremost, and I might put this actually even above that. I mean, the Arabic language, as we said, is the diagram of existence. The Arabic language, Al-Arabiya, and I just made two videos about the secrets of the Arabic language. What what we might call the metaphysical meaning and dimension of the Arabic languages. It's not just a set of human-made symbols. It is divine speech. It is the word of God, the mind of God, the uncreated logos. The Arabic language is the tree of existence, that by which God says, kun fayakun. Thus, we have two poles. Everything has a meaning, a spirit, a ruh, and it has a structure, a body. The Arabic language thus is the same. Everything in the Arabic language has a meaning, a ma'na, and it has a structure, a mabna. And again, we think of this as like a ruh and a jasad, a spirit and a body. Now, the Arabic language, therefore, beginning with the absolute foundations of things, begins with these roots, usul, the asl, and how roots, like in a tree, diverge in the branches, in the furor, to span out all of existence. To put it another way, we begin with that which is simple. We begin with unity, and we allow this seed, this asl, to unfold. So we will be speaking about these words. We're going to assume that we understand what these things mean. In fact, I might make another video about this at some point. But what's happening then? So learning the Arabic language is, as I have said many times, to know thyself. To study the Arabic language is to study the cosmos itself. The sciences of the Arabic language begins with first learning the meanings of words, right? These usul, where do all words come from? They come out from the meanings of letters. So essentially, that's learning vocabulary. That's essentially learning vocabulary. But a nicer word we would use is lexicology and etymology. Because it's not just a matter of memorizing vocab, it's a matter of understanding the meanings of words. And you can only understand the meaning of something when you take it back to where it has come from, when you understand its roots, its origin. And I might add here, I have purposefully used a certain diction, a certain style and register of language. Someone might ask, well, why am I using these, what might be hard words for some people, lexicology, etymology, morphology, speak about conjugation, declension. Even in ordinary English, we don't really use these words. So why here? I'm doing it because to emphasize and remind you that before you can learn Arabic, you need to learn English well. Before we can study Arabic language together, you need to study English grammar. And as I said, inshallah, I will be making videos on English grammar. A nice, short, succinct course covering all of that. So it's very important that we understand what these things are. Because look, there's two ways. Either we learn Arabic, and you have to learn these things inside of Arabic. But that makes it twice as hard because not only are we learning language, we're learning grammar. And we're learning grammar in Arabic, which is not our native tongue. It just makes it like way more difficult than it needs to be. It's much better to come equipped and armed with a sound understanding of grammar, of logic. And I've constructed these notes quite purposefully in like a mathematical way. Again, to highlight the fact that Arabic is a mathematical language, but also that before we learn the Arabic language, we should have attained a certain level of sophistication in these sciences. So that's my first recommendation. To continue, the main sciences we need to know are, there's not really a word for this in Arabic, so I've just called it al-asl for now, like the science of roots, ilm al-usul, if you might want to say, as pertains to language. Then you have sarf, morphology, and nahu, syntax. Okay, if this science of lexicology deals with the meanings of words, where words come from. The science of morphology studies the structures of how these meanings come into words. Now you have words. The science of syntax studies how words form into sentences. What are the structures of words? So you see there's a two-level process, which I might write here. At the very top, you have letters. Now, letters become words. Like letters come down into the structures of words and form words. But now words are coming down into the structures of sentences. Oops, I mean sentences. So it's relative. From the perspective of morphology, your words are the structures, but from the perspective of syntax, your words are your meanings. Okay, as I said, an Arabic word has a meaning, a ma'na, that's going to be given by the root letters. It's a meaning, the root letters, plus a structure, the form. The form is called sometimes wazn, and sometimes it is called the sigha, the sighatul kalima. In fact, I should add, what's the word? It's kalima. Example, we have the root kaf, ta, ba. Now, from the science of etymology, we would know that this root over here, the meanings of these letters, it has a general meaning of bringing things together and sealing them up. In particular, the way that this word has evolved, it means writing. Because to write something is to bring meanings together and seal it shut. Now let's take this root, this meaning, and we put it down. It's like pouring water into a glass. The water is the meaning, the glass is the structure, what's going to receive it. The structure is this form, fi'al. This is the form of a noun. In particular, fi'al usually has the idea of the thing by which things are done. Instruments. The instrument by which things are done, and also the place in which they occur. In fact, I would rather just say instruments. So fi'al means the the thing by which the fa'ala meaning occurs. But here the meaning is kataba and the structure is fi'al. So look, the word is meaning plus structure is kataba plus fi'al. That is to say that your fa is your kaf, your ain is your ta, and your lam is your ba. So now you add, it's like literally mathematics, like algebra. You add these things together, right? You pour the kataba into the glass of the fi'al, and what do you get? You get the word kitab. And now I know immediately that kitab is a noun. It's not a verb. This solves one of the first problems a student has, which is distinguishing nouns and verbs. So one of the first things you might say is this a noun or a verb? Because before we can talk about, conjugation, what's the pronoun inside the verb? What does this verb mean? Or what does this noun mean? And what is this noun doing in a sentence? Before all of that, we need to know whether this is a noun or a verb. And so this problem is solved immediately just by learning some of the main forms of nouns and verbs. And I do promise you that after a month of learning Arabic, this will no longer be an issue. Really, it's very easy to distinguish between verbs and nouns in Arabic. Moreover, as I said, actually, this is a bit more advanced, but if you know the meanings of these structures, like I just explained what fi'al means generally, you can actually know the meanings of words just by that. So there was actually a study that usually with as we get older, we learn things slower. That at least that is the stereotype, the assumption we have. There was a study I read somewhere that maybe someone can bring it up. It's the reverse with Arabic speakers. Speakers of the Arabic language actually learn faster and faster the more they grow older. So Alhamdulillah. And this pertains more, I think, to really our vision. It's we don't have a vision that with age we decay and break down. Maybe the body begins to wear away a bit. But in compensation for the body withering away, the spirit becomes strengthened. Like they say with people who are blind or they are deaf, the other senses actually strengthen to recompense them, to accommodate. Someone who is blind usually has a very good memory. And this is true even if they lose their sight in life. The body reacts by strengthening the memory, strengthening one's hearing, strengthening one's sense of space. So as we grow older, there is actually a strengthening of our spiritual powers, our spiritual and mental faculties, even though it seems that at a material level they are decaying. Put that aside, I mean, well, the reason I'm saying is that it's never too late to learn Arabic, foremost. Secondly, we will actually learn Arabic more and more the older we get. So do not become disheartened if you have been learning Arabic for some years, or if you have yet to begin learning Arabic. To learn the Arabic language takes time. When I say time, I mean decades, not just years, decades. And that's something to rejoice for. That's a cause of hope. You will never finish learning this language. Let me just finish this first video by speaking now about the types of words. So again, just by learning the meanings of these structures, we can learn to distinguish between what are the nouns, or I might prefer to use the word substantive, what are the verbs. As for the particles, we will basically just memorize these straight away. There's not too many, especially the main ones. So what's the meaning of all this? Well, firstly, a word points towards a meaning. It comes from a meaning. A word points towards a meaning. Now, some words point to really the relationships between meanings, like the word in. I came into the house. The word I pertains to, me as an essence. The word to come has a meaning, which we know, coming and going. And the house has a meaning. But this word into does not have really a meaning in and of itself. When I say into, you don't have a mental image forming, but rather this word connects together the act of coming and the place of the house, coming into the house, the relationship, the spatial relationship of being inside. So these words are particles. A word either has a meaning in and of itself, or it points to a meaning between other meanings. In the latter, it is a particle. In the former, well, now the word either is something which stands in and of itself. It's an essence standing in and of itself, a substance. Another way to say that is that it doesn't have a notion of time, not intrinsically, because something which is temporal is by its nature finite, perishing. And to the contrary of that, those things which have times are verbs. So a man is an idea. It's a word which has the meaning of a man. If that was all we said, there is no time there. It's a general abstract meaning. So it's a substantive. A verb is like living and dying. To say, he lives, the word lives is not a thing, but rather it's a meaning of a thing. So hopefully that is just a quick introduction to the basic division of the types of words in the Arabic language. We have substantives, verbs, and particles. All of these things are going to have their own mabna, their form, structure. So the way to learn vocabulary is basically going to be two things. One is just learning meanings, which means learning the roots of words. And the second is going to be learning the structures. And hand in hand, we'll start to actually quite quickly expand our vocabulary. And I will end this right here actually with one point. I realized I didn't finish what I was saying about um, people learning the Arabic language quicker as they grow older. The reason is that the Arabic language is a mathematical, purely symmetrical language. So the more you learn of the Arabic language, it's like the more of a foothold you have into the Arabic language. Because everything has a pattern. The more patterns you learn, the quicker and quicker you can learn the language. So learning the Arabic language is actually a process of exponential growth. It can be slow at the start, but it really does speed up drastically as you make progress. So I encourage you to persevere with this. Persevere. Don't quit after a few weeks. Don't quit after a few months. Really stick this out for a year. And I really believe after a year, you will have amazing results, inshallah. Let's leave this first video here.